It's a Wednesday evening. You're scrolling through Instagram the way you do at the end of a long day, not looking for anything, just a mindless horizontal scroll that the algorithm was designed to produce. Your friend Danny posted something about her sister's engagement and you double tap it. Instagram helpfully suggests some accounts you might like based on the engagement. One of them is a profile called Tom Mercer Builds. Because your last name is Mercer and your father's name is Tom. You don't click it. Not immediately. You just look at the handle for a second. Tom Mercer. The name your mother used when she talked about him, which was rarely and always in short, careful sentences. The name you had until you were old enough to decide you wanted to go by your mother's maiden name professionally, which you started doing at 22 and which had felt like a small private act of claiming yourself. Tom Mercer. Your father, who left when you were 7 years old and who you have not seen or spoken to since. 21 years of silence on a Wednesday night condensed into a suggested account. You click it. Of course you click it. There's no version of this where you don't click it. You click it the way your hand moves toward a hot stove, some impulse that overrides the part of your brain that knows better. The profile is public. Of course it is. Tom Mercer builds things, you can see it immediately. It's a home renovation and construction account. Tracks he's worked on. Before and afters. The kind of wholesome, competent, satisfying to scroll content that gets a modest following and earns a lot of hearts from people who like watching things get made. He lives, you can tell from the location tags, about 4 hours from where you grew up. Different city. Different life. And the personal posts, the ones that aren't project photos, there are 3 children. 2 boys and a girl. Ages roughly 6, 8, and 11 based on the years of posts available. He is in almost every photo. At games. At birthday parties. At a school play where one of the boys has blue face paint for some reason and a grin that takes up most of the frame. At the beach. At a camping trip. In a Halloween costume, because apparently your father wears Halloween costumes now, which is something you did not know about him and something he apparently loves doing with these children. The post dates go back 7 years. He's been doing this for 7 years. Building things in the daytime. Being a father in the evenings and the weekends. Being there. You spend an hour on the profile. 60 full minutes on a Wednesday evening sitting on your couch, reading captions, looking at faces, building a picture of a man you last saw when you were 7 years old and who has been, apparently, substantially present for 3 other people since then. 3 people who got the version of him you didn't. We're going to go through this? All of it. From what it was like growing up with that absence, to what you found in that profile, to the decision you made after 3 days of sitting with it, to the phone call, to what he actually said, to where things are now. Because this story doesn't end where you think it's going to. And what you learn from it about your father, about yourself, about the complicated ways people fail each other and sometimes try to repair it, is something I think a lot of men carry without ever getting to say it out loud. So let's say it out loud. So here's the thing about growing up without a father that's hard to explain to people who had one. It's not like a visible scar, you know? It's more like a shape. A shape that's missing from the space where something should be. And you don't always notice the missing shape because you've never known what it would look like filled. You just notice sometimes that other people seem to be standing in a slightly different way and you can't figure out what's different until someone points out that they're standing with someone behind them. Someone who put their hand on their shoulder at some point and helped them find their balance. And you're standing on your own and you've always been standing on your own and you're fine at it, and also sometimes you're aware that it's harder than it should be. Your father's name is Tom Mercer. He left on a Thursday in September when you were 7. You know the day because your mother has always known the day, not in a bitter calendar-marked way, just in the way certain dates become coordinates for your life, even when you wish they didn't. She told you when you were old enough to have an honest conversation about it that it wasn't dramatic. That's the part that surprised you, honestly, the first time she said it. It wasn't a fight, it wasn't an explosion. He just said he was going. Said he wasn't cut out for it. Left a number, which he then stopped answering about 3 months later. Left a man-shaped hole in a house on Westfield Drive that your mother spent the next several years quietly learning to inhabit on her own. Your mother, for the record, is extraordinary. And I want to be clear about that before we go any further into this story, because she's not a character in this story, she's the whole foundation of it. She raised you alone for the most part, with some help from her sister and from a community that showed up in the quiet ways communities do when they know someone's carrying something heavy. She worked. She kept the lights on. She came to every school thing, every game, every parent-teacher conference. She was both parents in one person, which is not possible to do perfectly, but which she did with a grace that you recognize as extraordinary only in retrospect, because when you're a kid inside it, you just think, this is what a parent is. You didn't know yet that what she was doing was exceptional. You find out over the course of your adult life, piece by piece. What you understand about your father comes in phases. The first phase is childhood. You know he left. You don't have much else to work with. He's an absence that doesn't have a face attached to it because you were 7 when he went, and the memories from that age are patchy and uncertain. You have one memory of being on his shoulders at some outdoor event, a festival, maybe something with music in the background. You have his height in that memory, the feeling of being tall. That's pretty much it. One memory of height and music, and then nothing. The second phase is adolescence, which is where the missing shape becomes most audible. Because adolescence is when you start running into the things that fathers are supposed to help you with. Not the big dramatic things, the quiet everyday things. How to shave. Who taught you how to shave? Your uncle, as it turned out, who drove 3 hours on a weekend specifically to show you how to drive. Your mom in an empty car park, white-knuckling the passenger seat but never once making you feel like a burden for needing it. How to navigate the specific social architecture of male adolescence, the group dynamics, the conflict, the figuring out how to be a person among other people who are also figuring that out. That one you mostly figured out alone. Some nights you did okay. Some nights you didn't. You got there. The third phase is adulthood, which is where the missing shape becomes philosophical. You're no longer in the daily practical need of the thing that's absent. You've built the scaffolding for yourself. But the question of why becomes available to you in a new way as an adult. Not the childlike why didn't he want me, but the adult why, which is bigger and more complicated and also, weirdly, less personal. The adult why is, what kind of person leaves a 7-year-old? What is the internal experience of making that choice? What did he tell himself? What did the story sound like from inside? Because no one makes that choice and simply feels nothing about it. Somewhere, the logic of it had to make sense to him. And you spend some years in therapy and out of it wondering what that logic was. By the time you're 28, which is where this story finds you, you're in a reasonably solid place about all of this. Not resolved, not closed. You don't think people with father wounds ever get to resolved in the way that sounds like it's all tidy. But you're a functional adult? You have a good job. You have close friends. You're in a relationship that you're genuinely invested in. You have a therapist you trust. You've done, in other words, the work that a person does when they've been handed a difficult starting condition and decided to build something workable from it. You're proud of that quietly. Not loudly. You're not a guy who leads with the story of his absent father. Quietly. You know what it costs you to get here? And then it's Wednesday. And there's a suggested account on Instagram. And the name is Tom Mercer. And everything you've built in your adult life gets very quietly tested for the next 72 hours. Let me take you through what you actually saw, because I think the specifics matter here in the way that specifics always matter when something complicated happens. The general shape of it, absent father has a new family, is a story people know. The specific content of the profile is the part that makes this particular story yours. Tom Mercer has 1,847 followers. Not a lot. A real number, the number a person gets when people who know them follow them and occasionally someone finds them through the renovation content. The bio says, building things, dad, somewhere in Oregon. 3 sentence fragments. The whole man summarized. You read those 3 fragments and something in your chest does something complicated that you can't immediately name. The renovation content takes up maybe 60% of the posts. He's clearly skilled deck builds, bathroom renovations, a kitchen remodel that got a lot of engagement. The photos are well taken. The before and afters are satisfying. There's a consistent aesthetic, clean work, good light, the kind of photos someone takes who is genuinely proud of what they built. You think, sitting on your couch, that he's good with his hands. You didn't know that. It's a weird fact to learn at 28 about your own father. good with his hands. Something somewhere in your body responds to that with something that is adjacent to pride and also absolutely nothing like it. The other 40% is the family content. And this is where I need you to stay with me because this is where it gets specific. His children's names based on tags and captions are Owen, Jackson, and Lily. Owen is the oldest, 11, maybe 12, based on when the first photos of him appear. Jackson is 8 or 9. Lily is 6. 3 kids over the course of about 12 years, which means he's settled into this new life within a few years of leaving yours. He didn't wait a long time. He went from one thing to another thing without a particularly long gap. The first family post is from 7 years ago. It's Owen's 4th birthday. The caption says, "My guy, 4 years old today, I can't believe it." The photo is Tom. You recognize him now. You've been studying his face holding Owen up in a backyard with a birthday cake on a table in the background. Owen's wearing a paper crown. Tom is laughing at something Owen apparently just said. The photo is completely normal, completely unremarkable as a birthday party photo. And it costs you something to look at because you are doing the math on that date. Owen's 4th birthday 7 years ago puts Owen being born roughly 11 years ago. Which means when Owen was born, you were 17. And your father had already been gone for 10 years. And somewhere in Oregon, a baby was being born who would, within 7 years, get his picture taken with a paper crown and a laughing father who cannot believe it. Who literally cannot believe it. Who says so in a caption. You scroll through every family post. All of them. And I want to walk you through some of them because the rhythm of it, the accumulation of posts after posts, each one its own small documentation of a fatherhood you didn't receive, is a large part of what makes that Wednesday evening so specifically hard to process. There are sports posts. A lot of them. Owen plays baseball. Post after post of Owen at games fielding, batting, holding a trophy, sitting in a dugout with his hat backwards looking thoroughly pleased with himself. In several of these posts, Tom is in the background. Sometimes he's in a coaching vest. He coaches. He coaches Owen's baseball team. The captions in the coaching posts say things like, "Another Saturday morning well spent," and "These kids don't know how much they're teaching me," and one that just says, under a photo of Owen hitting a ball cleanly, "There he goes." 2 words, "There he goes." With the specific pride and love and amazement that 2 words can carry when they're written by a father watching his son. You played baseball when you were 8. Not competitively, just the rec league your mom signed you up for because she'd heard it was good for kids and she was always trying to fill your week with structures that would help you. You weren't good at baseball. You were okay at it. You liked the smell of the field and the specific satisfying sound of a ball hitting a mitt, and you liked the social part of it. You quit after 1 season because you'd rather have done drawing. That's fine. But you played baseball at 8 and there was no father in a coaching vest and no "there he goes" caption, and you're sitting at 28 looking at a man who apparently found those things for other children after he stopped being available for you. You know you can't hold him responsible for the baseball rec league. You know that. And yet the baseball rec league is sitting in the room with you while you read the baseball posts. Jackson, the middle one, is into building things like his dad. There's a recurring series of posts, maybe 10 of them over the past few years, of Tom and Jackson working on small projects together. Birdhouse. Small shelf. A little wooden box that Jackson apparently made for his teacher, which Tom documents with visible delight. He decided to make something instead of buy something. 9 years old. I can't take any credit for that. And then in parentheses at the end, well, maybe a little. Followed by a winking emoji, which is also something you didn't know about your father. He uses winking emojis. He's the kind of person who uses a parenthetical aside and a winking emoji in an Instagram caption. Mild, warm, present. Lily's posts are the ones you look at last because something in your intuition saves them. Lily is 6 in the most recent posts. She has his eyes, you can see it now that you've spent an hour studying his face in other photos. His same slightly narrow eyes that crinkle in a specific way when he's laughing. And she wraps herself around him in photos the way children do with adults they completely trust. Arms around his neck. Head on his shoulder. The full-body physical certainty of a child who has never had any reason to doubt that the person they're climbing on will hold them. You were 6 when you last fully had that. Before the leaving. Before you learn that the certainty of being held is not actually guaranteed. Lily has it still. Lily has it completely. You look at her face in those photos and you feel something about her that you can't call jealousy because it's not that exactly. It's something older and quieter than jealousy. Something like, look at her. Look at what that looks like. She doesn't know what she has. You've been on the profile for about 40 minutes at this point. Your tea's gone cold. The TV is on with no sound in the background. Your girlfriend texts you good, from the other room because you've been quiet for a while and she knows you, and you text back, yeah, just doing something, which is technically true and entirely incomplete. And then you find the post. You're about to close the app. You've seen enough, or at least you've seen as much as you're going to be able to process in one sitting, and the algorithm feeds you one more suggested post from the account, a recent one from about 3 weeks ago. And it's Tom at Owen's baseball game. Standing on the sideline, one of those candid shots someone else took and tagged him in. Owen at bat in the background in that specific split second of weight transfer before a swing. Tom watching, not looking at the camera, completely absorbed in the moment. His hands in his jacket pockets. His jaw slightly set the way you set your jaw when you're focused. The caption, and the caption. I need you to sit with this one. The caption says, there's a version of me that wasn't capable of this. I know who that version was. Every day I try to be the other one. That's it. That's the whole caption. 31 words, under a photo of a man watching his son at bat. There's a version of me that wasn't capable of this. I know who that version was. Every day I try to be the other one. You read it twice, then 3 times. Then you set your phone face down on the coffee table. And you sit there in your living room on a Wednesday night for probably 10 minutes not touching the phone. Just breathing. Just being in the room with those 31 words. Because here's the thing. He knows there was a version of him that wasn't capable of it. He doesn't name you, he doesn't say, I have a son I left, or reference anything specific. But the version that wasn't capable of this, that's you. That's your 7 years old. That's the house on Westfield Drive. That's the Thursday in September and the number he stopped answering. He's talking about all of that in the subtext of a caption on an Instagram post framed as a thing he's moving away from, as something he's daily choosing against. And something in you doesn't know whether to be grateful that he's trying or furious that trying this hard for Owen and Jackson and Lily didn't happen to include trying for you. That the motivation to become the other version only arrived after he'd already let you go. The man who's on the sideline at baseball games, who coaches, who makes birdhouses, who uses winking emojis, that man was inside the person who left your mother a note and stopped answering his own phone number when you were 7. That man was in there. He just hadn't decided to be him yet. Or couldn't. Or whatever it was. You don't cry on Wednesday. That's not a stoic thing, it's more that whatever the thing is that needs to move through you, it's not ready to move yet. It's just pressure. Building pressure. But the kind that doesn't have an obvious direction to go in until it figures one out. You go to bed. You don't tell your girlfriend what happened. Not because you're hiding it, because you don't have words for it yet and you don't want to give her an incomplete version. You lie in the dark. Every day I try to be the other one. The caption is playing on a loop in your head. It's going to be there for 3 days. Thursday morning, you go to work. You do your job. You're present in meetings and absent between them, which is the specific productivity pattern of a person who is competent and also carrying something. You text your best friend Kofi at lunchtime. Just found my dad on Instagram last night. He has a whole new family. I'm processing. Kofi responds within 2 minutes. Holy shit. You okay? You say, I think so. I'll let you know. Kofi says, I'm here. That's enough. Kofi knows when to leave space and when to fill it. That's the specific gift of a good friend. Thursday evening, you have the conversation with your girlfriend, Mara. You tell her all of it. The suggested account, the profile, the hour of scrolling, the caption. She listens without interrupting, which is one of the things you love about her. When you're done, she asks, what do you want to do? What are you going to do? What do you want to do? You think about that distinction for a moment. Want is a different question. Going to implies a decision already underway. Want gets at something under the decision. You say, I don't know. That's the problem. She says, then don't decide yet. Which is obvious advice and also exactly what you needed to hear, which is the specific gift of a good relationship. Here's the thing about the decision, and you spend all of Thursday and most of Friday and into Saturday morning thinking about this from every angle. It's not a simple one. The obvious framing is, do you reach out or do you leave it alone? But underneath that frame are about 15 questions, and most of them don't have answers you can get in advance. What do you actually want from him? Apology? An explanation? Both? Or just contact, just the acknowledgement that you exist? And then the next layer, what if you reach out and he doesn't respond? What does that do to the carefully constructed piece you've built over 21 years? And then the layer below that, what if he does respond? What if the conversation is good? What if it opens something you then have to maintain, some kind of relationship you didn't have before with a person who is also effectively a stranger who shares your name? What does that cost? What does it give? And then there's the caption. There's a version of me that wasn't capable of this. I know who that version was. He knows. Or at least he knows something. Whatever he's been carrying for 21 years, he's aware of it. He's putting it obliquely into Instagram captions under photos of his kids. Which is not nothing. It's also not the same as reaching out to you. It's not a letter. It's not an attempt at contact. It's processing his own weight in public without directing it toward the person who most needed to receive it. Which is, you're aware, something to have feelings about. Friday night coffee comes over. You talk for 3 hours. You work through the approach avoidance spiral out loud with someone who loves you and who isn't emotionally implicated in the outcome. Kofi at some point says something that cuts through everything. Here's the thing, man. You've been living with this since you were 7, and right now you have the option to find out at least partially what happened from his end. You might not like what you find out, but you already don't have what you don't have. You can't lose something you don't have. And then he pauses and says, think about it. You think about it all of Friday night. By Saturday morning, you've decided you're reaching out. Not because it's safe. Because you know it'll go well. Because you've been carrying this since you were 7 and you're 28 now, and you are, by any reasonable measure, ready to find out something true, even if the truth is incomplete or disappointing or both. You've built enough of yourself to hold the answer. Whatever it is, you think. You decided to reach out. Saturday afternoon, you draft the message. You write about 7 versions of it. Some of them are long and full of the things you've been carrying, the questions, the anger, the grief, the specific memories of watching other kids at school have conversations with their fathers that you weren't having because yours wasn't there to have them with. Those versions feel true, but they're not the version you want to send. Because the long, angry ones are about what you need from him, and you haven't gotten there yet. You can't ask for what you need from someone you haven't established basic contact with. That's not a sequence that works. The version you eventually send is this. Hi, this is going to be strange to receive. My name is James and I'm your son. I found your Instagram through a suggested account. I'm not reaching out to cause any trouble or to make demands. I'm 28, I'm doing well, I have a good life. I'm just at the point where I'd like to understand some things. If you're willing to have that conversation, you don't have to respond. But if you want to, I'm here. That's it. The version you sent. No anger in it. You set the anger aside deliberately, not because it doesn't exist, but because leading with it felt like it would close doors rather than open them. No demand. Guilt trip. Just, I found you. Here I am. Take it or leave it. You're 28 and you've built enough of yourself that you can afford the dignity of not begging. You send it on a Saturday at 2:47 p.m. And then you put your phone in a drawer and go for a run. Mara's idea. You run for 6 miles. You don't think about it. Or you try not to. You think about it for the first 3 miles and then it settles into a kind of baseline hum and you let the rhythm of running do its thing. You come back. You take a shower. You open the drawer. There's a notification from Instagram. He's responded in 4 hours. Same day. 4 hours. which tells you something. The message didn't sit in his inbox for 3 days while he decided whether to engage. He saw it, he sat with it for 4 hours, and he responded. His response says, James, I've been hoping for and dreading this message for 20 years. I owe you more than I know how to put in a text. Would you be willing to call me? And then his phone number. 20 years. What? He's been thinking about this for 20 years. Which means the decision to not reach out was, at least partly, a decision. Not just losing the thread, choosing not to pull it. You sit with that too. You add it to the pile. You call on Sunday. Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Hours out, you asked her to give you the morning because this is a call you need to make alone, or as alone as you can make it. You sit at the kitchen table with coffee you're not drinking. You dial the number. It rings twice. His voice is, and you spend a lot of time later trying to figure out what the right word is. Familiar. Because you remember it. You don't remember his voice from when you were 7. But it's familiar in some genetic way, some quality of it that sounds like family. Something in the timbre that matches something you hear when you record yourself and play it back. You didn't expect that. That catches you off guard immediately before he said anything meaningful. He says, James, and then he stops. Because he doesn't know what to say next. Because he needs a second. You can hear it, the specific quality of a person who is feeling something that requires momentary pause. You give it to him. You wait. Then he says, I'm glad you called. And then, thank you for calling. What follows is, honestly, the most complicated conversation you've ever had. Not the most painful, it's not a screaming match, it's not cold or dismissive or defensive. Or complicated in the way that conversations are complicated when two people are trying to cover 21 years of ground in one phone call and both of them know they can't, but they're going to try to find the most important pieces. You ask him why. Not accusatorily, just directly, just why. And he takes a long time before he answers, which you're grateful for because a fast answer to that question would have felt rehearsed, and you didn't want rehearsed, and you didn't want rehearsed. He says, I was 29, and I didn't have the tools. That sounds like an excuse, and I know it is one. But the honest answer is that I was terrified of the version of a father I was becoming, and I didn't know how to become a different one, and instead of figuring that out, I left. And leaving felt easier than staying and failing in front of you every day. Which is, I've had a lot of years to think about this cowardice. It's cowardice. I don't want to call it anything else. You sit with that for a moment. Cowardice. His word. Not an excuse or a redirect. Just cowardice named plainly. You appreciate that. It's not enough, but it's a thing. It's an honest thing. You ask about the number. The one he left. The one he stopped answering 3 months after leaving. He's quiet for longer this time. Then, I told myself it would be easier for you. Clean break. I told myself a lot of things in those years that were really just rationalizations for what I needed to do to get through the day. I don't believe any of them now. I believed them then because I needed to. And then, I'm not asking you to understand that. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. The middle of the call is a long silence. Not an uncomfortable one, or not only uncomfortable. More like two people sitting in a room that contains everything that wasn't said for 21 years and neither of them quite sure how to arrange the furniture. At some point he asks about your life. Not as a change of subject, as a genuine question. Where are you? What do you do? Are you okay? The "are you okay" is the one that gets to you slightly because it's a father question. Instinctively parental question asked by someone who gave up the right to ask it 21 years ago and is still asking it anyway. You say, yeah, I'm okay. I'm actually doing well. You say it without bitterness. You mean it. You tell him about your mom. Not in a punitive way, just, she's well, she lives on her own, she's built a good life. He says, I know she's extraordinary. She always was. He says it with something that sounds like regret, but also maybe pride, which is a strange combination coming from a man who left her to do it all alone. You don't call that out. You note it. You move on. Toward the end of the call, you ask about his kids. He seems slightly surprised by the question. Maybe he'd expected you to not want to talk about them. Maybe he'd braced himself for that part. But you ask directly, "Hey, tell me about Owen." And something in his voice changes. Not from cold to warm, he's been warm the whole call. But from careful to unguarded. He talks about Owen for maybe 5 minutes. The baseball, the personality, the specific way Owen argues when he thinks he's right, which is apparently relentless and specific, and shows a quality of thinking that Tom describes with visible delight even over the phone. He talks about Jackson's building projects. He talks about Lily's laugh. He talks the way fathers talk about their children when they're not performing for anyone, just letting the love come through because it's what's there. And you listen. You listen to your father talk about his children, which is a sentence that contains about 40 years of complication in 15 words. And you feel something while you're listening that you decide to name honestly to yourself. You feel glad for them. Owen and Jackson and Lily. You feel glad that they have this version of him. Not instead of being glad you didn't get it, you feel both things at the same time. You're glad they have it and you're grieved you didn't. Both real. Both yours. Near the end of the call, he says, "I don't expect forgiveness. I want to be clear about that. I'm not asking for it. I lost the right to ask for anything from you a long time ago. I just want you to know that I haven't not thought about you. Not for one day of the last 21 years. And then, I should have done something with that a lot earlier. I didn't. That's mine." You say, "Yeah. Because it is. That's his. And it's your 7 years old, and it's the missed baseball and the uncle who drove 3 hours to teach you how to shave. It's all of it. It's yours too. You're both carrying parts of the same thing in different ways." The call lasts 2 hours and 17 minutes. You end it by saying, "I'm glad I called." He says, "Me too. More than you know." You say, "Maybe we can do this again sometime." Not a promise. Not a commitment. Just maybe. The first maybe between you in 21 years. Okay, so it's been about 14 months since the phone call. And I want to tell you exactly where things are, because the where things are in this story is something I think people are going to have strong opinions about, and I want them to have the accurate version rather than a simplified one. You've talked to Tom 5 times since that first call. 5 calls over 14 months. Frequent. Not a regular relationship. More like careful steps. Both of you moving at the pace of what's actually possible rather than what would make the story tidy. You've learned things about him in those calls that are interesting in the neutral, informational sense: his work, where he lives, his wife's name, Sarah, what the family's life looks like. And you've shared things about yourself cautiously, the way you share things with someone who is important but new. Because he is effectively new. He's your biological father and he's a stranger, and both of those things are simultaneously true. You have not met him in person. Not yet. There's been a conversation about it. He offered tentatively in the third call. You said, "I want to at some point. I'm not ready yet." He said, "Okay. Whenever you are." And in it, there was no pressure in it. Just, "Okay, whenever you are." Which might be the most useful thing he said in all 5 calls. You haven't met Owen, Jackson, or Lily. You know they know you exist. Tom told you in the 4th call that he'd told Sarah about you when she asked why he'd seemed different after the first phone call. He said he'd told Sarah everything a long time ago before they had children. That she knew. That his kids, as they've gotten older, have known in the abstract that there's an older brother somewhere. You sit with that one for a while. An older brother somewhere. That's you. In their lives, you're an older brother somewhere. That doesn't have a settled emotional register yet. You're not sure it will for a while. Your mother knows. You told her 4 days after the first call. She was quiet on the phone for a moment. Then she said, "How are you feeling?" Not "how dare he" or "what did he say about me?" How are you feeling? She is, as established, extraordinary. You said, "Complicated." But okay. She said, "That's the right answer." And then, I'm glad you found him. Whatever comes of it. You say that to yourself sometimes on mornings when you're not sure if reaching out was the right call. Your mother is glad you found him. That means something. The Instagram account. You still follow it. Obsessively, just the way you follow something that's part of your awareness now. Tom knows you follow it. He mentioned it once, not as a complaint or a request, just acknowledging it. You said, I hope that's okay. He said, more than okay. The posts are the same. Renovation projects. Baseball. Recent one of Jackson with a new birdhouse that's considerably more complex than the previous ones, with a caption that says, he's already better than me. That's the goal. You liked that post. Genuinely, without reservation. It felt like something you were allowed to feel. The caption, though, there's a version of me that wasn't capable of this. I know who that version was. Every day I try to be the other one. That one still plays in your head sometime. Not the way it played on Wednesday night with that specific pressing weight. More gently now. More like, yeah. There was that version. And there's the one you're trying to be instead. You understand that project. Not from the parenting side. Just from the human side. Everyone has a version of themselves they're trying not to be anymore. His just had larger consequences than most. 14 months in, 5 calls, and maybe that hasn't become a yes yet. Here's what I keep coming back to. Not the father. Not the phone call. The caption. Those 31 words on an Instagram post about a baseball game. There's a version of me that wasn't capable of this. I know who that version was. Every day I try to be the other one. He posted that publicly. To 147 followers. Under a photo of his son at bat. And somewhere in that caption is something I think a lot of men carry and almost never say out loud, the awareness that you've been a worse version of yourself at some point. The awareness that the version you were caused damage you can't fully repair. The commitment to, every day, try to be the other one. The better one. The one you actually want to be. That's a human experience, not just a father experience. There are versions of all of us that weren't capable of things we're capable of now. Some of those versions left damage that's still sitting in the world, still being lived with by people who didn't choose to receive it. And the question of what to do with that, whether to reach toward the people you hurt or leave them in the peace they've made, is genuinely complicated. Tom got reached toward. He hadn't reached out himself. That's a thing to have feelings about. And also, when he was reached toward, he picked up. He responded in 4 hours. He said cowardice without flinching. He held the call for 2 hours and 17 minutes. That's also a thing. Whole picture has both things in it. Here's what I want from you. If you grew up without a parent, any parent, for any reason, what does this story do to you? Not what do you think about Tom? What does it do to you to hear about the caption, to hear about the phone call, to hear about the 5 careful calls over 14 months and the in-person meeting that still hasn't happened yet? Does the idea of reaching out feel right? Does it feel impossible? Does the maybe we can do this again sometime feel like enough? Does cowardice cover it? I genuinely want to know. Not because this is a debate, because these are the conversations men don't have enough about the father-shaped spaces in their lives, and I think we should have them more. Drop it below. I'm there in the first 2 hours. All of it. Subscribe if this one landed somewhere real. Thursday. New story. Second person. You're always the man it happened to. Every week. These are the stories nobody planned to tell. Jackson with a new birdhouse that's considerably more complex than the previous ones, with a caption that says, he's already better than me. That's the goal. You liked that post. Genuinely, without reservation. It felt like something you were allowed to feel. The caption, though. There's a version of me that wasn't capable of this. I know who that version was. Every day I try to be the other one. That one still plays in your head sometimes. Not the way it played on Wednesday night with that specific pressing weight. More gently now. More like, yeah. There was that version. And there's the one you're trying to be instead. You understand that project. Not from the parenting side, just from the human side. Everyone has a version of themselves they're trying not to be anymore. His just had larger consequences than most. 14 months in, 5 calls, and maybe that hasn't become a yes yet. Here's what I keep coming back to. Not the father. The phone call. The caption? Those 31 words on an Instagram post about a baseball game. There's a version of me that wasn't capable of this. I know who that version was. Every day I try to be the other one. He posted that publicly to 1,847 followers under a photo of his son at bat. And somewhere in that caption is something I think a lot of men carry and almost never say out loud: the awareness that you've been a worse version of yourself at some point. The awareness that the version you were caused damage you can't fully repair. Commitment to every day try to be the other one. The better one. The one you actually want to be. That's a human experience, not just a father experience. There are versions of all of us that weren't capable of things we're capable of now. Some of those versions left damage that's still sitting in the world, still being lived with by people who didn't choose to receive it. And the question of what to do with that, whether to reach toward the people you hurt or leave them in the peace they've made, is genuinely complicated. Tom got reached toward. He hadn't reached out himself. That's a thing to have feelings about. And also, when he was reached toward, he picked up. He responded in 4 hours. He said cowardice without flinching. He held the call for 2 hours and 17 minutes. That's also a thing. The full picture has both things in it. Here's what I want from you. If you grew up without a parent, any parent, for any reason, what does this story do to you? What do you think about Tom? What does it do to you to hear about the caption, to hear about the phone call, to hear about the 5 careful calls over 14 months and the in-person meeting that still hasn't happened yet? Does the idea of reaching out feel right? Does it feel impossible? Does the maybe we can do this again sometime feel like enough? Does cowardice cover it? I genuinely want to know. Because this is a debate, because these are the conversations men don't have enough about the father-shaped spaces in their lives, and I think we should have them more. Drop it below. I'm there in the first 2 hours. All of it. Subscribe if this one landed somewhere real. Thursday. New story. Second person. You're always the man it happened to. Every week. These are the stories nobody planned to tell. That's why they feel the way they do.